Good evening, everybody! And yeah, that's right. Welcome back to the final word with MattyB here on the It's a Rap Sports Network. After a very long hiatus, we are back with a lot to talk about. A huge amount of things to talk about tonight here on the program. It's great to be back in the house. Great to be back in the seat. Great to be back behind the mic for the show. We did not come back on the air last night because I had post-game duty, but I'm here today and I'm ready to go. I have, completely rejuvenated after a week. Was that 6 days in Florida? So let's get it rolling tonight. I mean, where shall we begin? I guess we should begin with some Eagles draft talk. We'll get into the draft. We'll also get into your Phillies as they had a big series win over the weekend against Chicago Cubs. We're going to do the other night segment. We're going to get into the card review. We're going to fire it all back up here on the program on this Monday night. Jesus Christ, I don't even know what day of the week it is. On this Monday night, April the 28th. So I hope everybody out there is doing well. And Joe, how are you? It's great to see you, Adam. Listen, Adam, I just got your message over on Facebook like a second ago, so I will. You want me to find out how much a card is worth? I will. I'll do that later on tonight, and I'll get back to you. So I apologize. I just checked my Facebook, so just bear with me. How does MattyB feel about the draft? Al Zafiri checking in. Big Al, I knew you'd be here tonight for this. I said this last night, and I meant it when I was on the post-game show. It's that time of the year where I renew my acquaintance with my rival and my nemesis and my reason for living, Howie Roseman. And we'll have a lot of talk tonight about the draft, and I have everything positive to say about the draft, because how can I be critical about something we know nothing about? How can I be critical about 10 players who have never taken a snap in the National Football League? How can I be critical for something that has yet to unfold? And what is the old adage in football? You really can't judge a draft class until about 3 years after the draft class. So we're going to go over the players. We're going to talk about the players. I'm going to pretend that I know anything about any of these players except for Colin McCord, which I do know something about. I'm going to pretend that I know things about them. I'm going to try to speak intelligently and read off databases and everybody else's take on the draft about these players. But I want to focus more on the positions, because that, to me, says everything you need to know about this draft, because we don't know anything else. We can grade Howie Roseman on his ability to address positions of need on this football team. So, for example, if he drafted 10 wide receivers, we could probably be pretty critical of that draft, because why are you drafting 10 wide receivers? It's not a position of need, really, on this team, unless you consider wide receiver 3 a position of need. So that's what I'm going to attack tonight, is the positions, not necessarily the players. So, and I'm not going to give a draft grade. I can't. No sane, rational human being, no non-homer. I think it's important that I say that. No non-homer can give a draft grade of the 2025 draft 2 days after it happened. This is not necessary. It's not possible, because every year I hear the same thing. Oh, A+++. Howie killed it. It's Howie season. I trust Howie. And I guess that's what Eagles fans do. They get excited about players, and there are some players potentially to get excited about, right? There are. I mean, yeah, but I remember a conversation not too long ago where people got excited about Andre Dillard, where people got excited about Jalen Reagor, where people got excited about J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I remember those conversations not too long ago. And when people got excited about Carson Wentz, I remember those conversations. And it's human nature, I guess. But we're going to go at this rationally. I am not going to give the 2025 draft grade a grade, or draft class a grade. I'm not. I can't. I can give the 2022 draft class a grade tonight. We could talk that. We could look at Howie's overall draft record up to this point, which we will. But other than that, I honestly can't grade this draft. I know Al probably does, and because he's a homer, and I know a lot of other homers have. They pray to the shrine of Howie Roseman and beg his forgiveness daily for ever doubting him. I get it, Al. I'm not here to question your cult-like fanatical belief in this fraud of a GM. I'm not here to question any of that. and I'm not here to actually tell you that you're wrong either. I'm just going to kind of lump you in with the other rational people out there tonight, because you might learn something there, big boy. So you should stay tuned. Adam says everything is cool. Yeah, I saw it like literally 5 seconds ago. Hello, Ricky. How are you? So anywho, also Joe Hale mentioned this last night when I was on the Fight and Spawn. He wants to talk some AHL hockey, man. He wants to talk about the Phantoms. I got no problem talking about some Phantoms, because I think the conversation, by the way, the Phantoms moving on into the second round of the, I don't know what they call them, the Northern Conference, Eastern Conference playoffs, as the race for the 2025 Calder Cup is on. Next up is the Hershey Bears, the defending Calder Cup champions, by the way, the team that put the Flyers or the Phantoms out last year, and also the Washington Capitol main affiliate. But this is a different Phantoms team, because I think this team has a lot. It might not sound right for me to say this, Joe, and everybody else out there that might be interested in what's happening in Lehigh Valley. And there is playoff hockey, good hockey happening, not too far away from from Philadelphia. So if you want to check out hockey, if you're jonesing for hockey, then head up to Allentown and check out the Phantoms, because they're on a race for a cup, and they may have a shot because of some of the reinforcements that they got towards the end of the season. So we will get into some AHL hockey there, Joe. I promised you that. I said that I would do it last night, and we'll do it tonight. And then look at that. From my mouth to God's ears. AHL talk. It's Jed. You know what? Jed sounds better. Jed Lachenko leads all rookies to points in the AHL playoffs. Yeah, he does, man. He's an assist machine. So we'll get into some AHL hockey for you. I promise. Matty, hey, welcome back to the NFL draft. Was a snore, and the Phillies are still blah. Welcome back to the party, Barbara. I missed you. Bring me back down to reality. I don't think the NFL draft was a snore. You had the Shedeur Sanders drama, who, by the way, where's the big Al? Is Al still out there listening? You came from a sneeze of Sanders being the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I said this, too, the other day. I would have loved for that. Not because I believe in Sanders at all as a quarterback, but I would have loved to watch the implosion, the absolute implosion of the Homer's craniums trying to wrap their brains around Shedeur Sanders being in the same locker room than Jalen Hurts. I would have loved that. Talk about must-see TV. Talk about keeping me going through the offseason into the regular season. I would have loved for that to happen, because that would have been awesome. But unfortunately, the Cleveland Browns thought, as much as I guess they really thought that the Eagles were going to take him, so they traded up past them in order to get him. So anyway, boo you, sir. No grade for me, but I like the first 3 picks. Not a fan of moving backwards in the later picks. May have missed out on some good draft stock. So my question to you, Al, who's the running back? We addressed some needs, but we still have our running back room is still a mess. Is it possible that Howie Roseman believes Saquon Barkley is going to rush for 2,500 more yards? And that Will Shipley is a capable backup, and then A.J. Dillon is a capable third-string guy. So the running back did not get addressed. Tight end didn't get addressed, but I'm not really concerned about tight end. We don't use the tight end at all in this offense. Using a tight end in an offense is too complicated for Jalen Hurts, so we don't use them. So I'm not really that upset that they didn't take a tight end, but we're going to get into all that here in a minute. Can we talk? Yeah, absolutely, man. We can talk whatever you want, Ricky. Yeah, I saw the Penguins coach got fired, and the Flyers should get him for their next coach. Adam, Mike Sullivan did get fired, relieved, whatever. But Adam, once again, what do you expect Mike Sullivan to do with this group? I want to know. I want to know what you expect Mike Sullivan to do with the group of Flyer players that are currently on this team. By the way, if you have not looked, and of course, we're a long way away from the start of next season, and the roster will change. But tell me what Mike Sullivan's going to do with this roster. Nothing. Mike Sullivan's going to do nothing with this roster, unless Mike Sullivan's going to hop out on the ice and quarterback the power play, right? He's going to do nothing with this roster. This team is what this team is. This team is still very much in the rebuilding, learning phase of its rebirth. I don't need a Mike Sullivan. Well, Mike Sullivan's the same kind of coach John Tortorella is, in the aspect of he's the kind of guy you bring on to take everybody over the top. I need somebody that's going to teach. I need someone that can work with these young kids and do the best that he can with them, and not have aspirations of trying to win a Stanley Cup, because that's not going to happen in the next 3 years. So it's a waste for me to bring Mike Sullivan in at this time. There was no way Sanders was coming to Philly. Says Al. Says Al again, speaking for the homers of the Delaware Valley. Al Zafiri says there's no way, because Howie Roseman would never go off the reservation that much. No. He would never do that. Again, do you guys have like short-term memory loss? There was no way that Jalen Hurts was coming here in 2020. Do you remember the reaction when Jalen Hurts got drafted? It came out of left friggin' field. And to sit here, Al, and just kind of like wish that away into non-existence and say that is completely outside of the character of Howie Roseman. Again, it's an example of the cult-like following that this fraud has generated from the mindless Eagle Homer fans. It is not it was not beyond him not to bring Sanders here. And to think it was, again, it's sipping on that green Kool-Aid, man. Everything's all right, brother. It's going to be okay because Howie's in charge, man. Howie can't mess up. But we'll never know. I thought the Hershey Bears was with the Avalanche. No, Hershey's with the Capitals. Unless they switched over the last year. I believe the Capitals are the Grand Rapids. No, they're the Colorado Eagles. Is the Avalanche. The Avalanche are the Colorado Eagles. And the Hershey Bears are the Capitals. Again, unless things have changed within the last year. Oh my God, could you imagine the circus around the team with Sanders and Hurts? I would have loved it. Yes, I kind of saw it happening too, as this thing was moving on, especially at that time in the 5th round. I was like, he's going to go at some point, and then here comes the Eagles, coming up strong, coming up fast. And I was like, you know what? It's not far from the realm of possibility that they would have drafted Sanders. It's not. And to say it is, again, it's ignorance. It's blind cult-like following to a man. I can't stand Howie Roseman. I really can't stand him. I would have loved it, Barbara. All would have been forgiven. I would have been Howie's best friend if he would have drafted Sanders. I would have been his best friend. But we'll never know. Cam Scattergood got drafted by the Giants. I liked him too. Matter of fact, I liked him so much that I projected Eagles to grab him in the 3rd round and to be that change of pace guy that we desperately need in that backfield. And now that he's with the Giants, we're going to have to deal with that over the next 5 years or 4 years with twice a season at the minimum. I think the Eagles missed on that. I think the Eagles missed completely on the running back. They didn't draft any of them. I don't know what the plan for running back is. Can any of the homers out there tell me what the plan for running back is? Is it to hand off the ball to Saquon Barkley till his feet fall off? Because it's kind of a stupid plan. But I would have loved Scatterboo, and I so wanted him. I so wanted him. Can we win 76ers? Who cares about the Sixers there, Ricky? Flyers need a goalie. Job one. Yep, Jake Allen. Jake Allen, the unrestricted free agent, about to hit the market, would be a nice little goaltender for the Flyers over the next 3 years, until Zaradin and Bjornsson are ready to take over the reins of Flyer goaltending tandems. Jake Allen, free agent. That's the place where the Flyers must find a goalie. They must sign a goalie. They must. Boo the Sixers, absolutely. Hershey Bears, the Avalanche are the Colorado Eagles. Matter of fact, you want to go through this real quick? So I'll give you the metropolitan divisions affiliates. You ready? Pittsburgh Penguins are the Wilkes-Barre Penguins. The Boston Bruins are the Providence Bruins. Devils are the Utica Comets. The Rangers are the Hartford Wolfpack. Islanders are the Bridgeport Sounds. Did I say the Capitals and the Bears? Who else am I missing in the division? The Carolina Hurricanes are the Chicago Wolves. It doesn't make no sense, but they are the Chicago Wolves. What am I missing? What team am I missing out there in the Metro? I could do this all day. I give you the ECHL affiliates too. That's how lame I am on all this stuff. But yeah, I pretty much I knew that. To say it was just as ridiculous as any team could have had him at least 5 times. Absolutely. I'm not. Again, you're misunderstanding my point here. I don't think that Sanders was. I don't think he should have gotten drafted. I think he's a gigantic bust. You know, Cleveland's rocking 4 quarterbacks. It's going to be a healthy competition out there, and maybe he does something, maybe he doesn't. I was more interested for him coming here to watch the homers scatter like a bunch of cockroaches when the lights come on, man, because that would have been just amazing, absolutely amazing. Again, how quickly we forget things, how quickly we forget. Back in 2020 when they drafted Hurts, the same type of conversation. All right, so let's take a pause here because I don't want to get too far away from this the protocol of the show. We got to do our Night in Philadelphia sports history because I haven't done it in over a while and I miss it. And speaking of Jalen Hurts and speaking of the Eagles draft, on this night back in 2016, the Eagles realized that in order to achieve the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl, they needed a franchise quarterback to lead their way to the Jesus Christ, to lead them to that. Eagles general manager Howie Roseman shrewdly completed a blockbuster trade and moving all the way up to number 2 in that draft with the Cleveland Browns. And once the Rams took Goff, the Eagles selected, of course, Carson Wentz from North Dakota State, which, Wentz had a very promising rookie year. Then, of course, he had the MVP type season of 2017, and that was it. That was it. See ya. After that, it was all downhill. But on this night back in 2016, the Eagles traded, moved all the way up on the draft board to number 2 overall to select Carson Wentz in the 2016 NFL draft. That is your day in Philadelphia sports history. And is there anybody out there that doesn't classify Wentz as a draft bust? Was it safe to say he was a bust? Again, I used to say this a few years back, and I got a lot of flack, a lot of pushback on that, saying, well, you had 2017, he led us to a Super Bowl. But, I mean, he was gone within, 16, 17, 18, 19. He basically played his contract out, and that was the end of that. So, I mean, is it safe to say Carson Wentz was a bust? I think it is. But there you go. There was your day in Philadelphia sports history. Brought to you by the fine folks here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network, purveyors of such great quality programming as the Attacking Third. If you need your Union fix, you need your soccer fix, you need your Pat Bernard fix, you might have a worse problem. But if you need it, we got it for you here every Thursday night at 9. Join Pat and Steve as they will bring you the best in Union soccer coverage and MLS coverage this side of the Mississippi. Can anybody tell me what hashtag dupe means? I know nothing about the Union or soccer. Does anybody know what dupe stands for? Why do we say that when referring to the Union? Anybody help me out with that? I'll give you a prize if anybody can tell me what that means. No matter what you think of the man that is president, on a personal level, Hurts should have gone to the White House. It's a great honor, but you know how Hurts, he's always got to have something up his sleeve. Barbara, the way this country is sort of headed, I'm not going to get into the political discussion here. I agree with you to a baseline level. It's about being recognized by the president, not by Donald Trump. It's being recognized by the president, for your achievement as Super Bowl champions. But again, to each his own. I'm not going to really get in there and be, start preaching about that. It's not my place to. But I would surely go to the White House, no matter who was president. If I was part of a Super Bowl, World Series, Stanley Cup, NBA championship, I would definitely go because, it's sort of like the end of that whole big merry-go-round that was that championship season. It's like the last hurrah. So I would definitely go to celebrate one last time. Well, I guess it's not the last one, right? Getting your ring would be the last hurrah. So it would be the one before the last. But I definitely still go because when are you going to get the opportunity to go hanging out in the Oval Office again? Or in the Rose Garden, or in the White House in general. So, but again, to each his own. I'm not going to get into any of that. And hey, he's who he is. Can we do Sixers Live over my dead body? We can. Saquon, Dillon, and Shipley. Is that a running back room that gives you pause there, Al? Is that a running back room that you have confidence in? Cam Scatterboo would have been a nice little fit in that running back room. Eagles didn't draft one running back, not a one. They never addressed it. That's an interesting play. When the Flyers came into existence, their top minor league affiliate was the Quebec Aces. Yes, and then they moved around a little bit. The Hershey Bears were at one time the Flyers AHL affiliate. Then, of course, up there in Glen Falls, New York, with the Glen Falls Phantoms, down to Philadelphia with the Philadelphia Phantoms and all that. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right there, Barbara. I'm a New Jersey fan, Devils fan. Yeah, again, Ricky, to each his own. To each his own. Yes, Wentz was a bust. I agree, Joe Hale. And we're going to get into the draft. It's a good segue. And it just happened to work out that way. Obviously, I did not know that tonight was the Carson Wentz trade in 2016. But this is, it's a perfect segue. If a player is instrumental in winning a Super Bowl, is that a bust? Okay, again, here we go. Now, I don't know if this is defensive Howie Roseman or defensive Carson Wentz. Was he instrumental? He was. So it's Corey Clement, right? Was Corey Clement, was he a draft? No, Corey Clement was UDFA. Trying to think. Okay, Derek Barnett. Derek Barnett was instrumental in the Eagles winning a Super Bowl. He recovered he created the strip sack. Oh, no, he recovered the strip sack from Brandon Graham, correct? Was Derek Barnett a bust? Was he? Yeah, right. So, is it apples and oranges here? I mean, you're riding the coattails of one good season, which he had an amazing 2017. I am not taking that away from the man. But when you look at the whole body of work, was he a bust or not? He's not here anymore. And Jared Goff is not with the Rams anymore, but Jared Goff is still throwing dimes out there. Carson Wentz is barely hanging on to a job. So if you're going to say that a player that's instrumental in winning a Super Bowl, Derek Barnett was the number 1 overall pick in 2017. Was he a bust? I think a lot of people would agree that he was a bust. But he was instrumental. He recovered the goddamn strip sack to seal the deal. Or not to seal the deal, but to get the extra, that go ahead, or not to go ahead, but the insurance field goal there at the end of the game. So we could do this all night long. And that's the only thing you got? Is that the only thing you're going to come at me with? It was Carson Wentz because he was instrumental in the Eagles winning a Super Bowl? Was he a bust? I don't know, man. You're off your game tonight, Al. Off your game. Wentz on a different level for 6 straight years. He's a bust. Only 9 playoff plays. Holistically. Taken as the number 2 overall pick in the damn draft, man. The second player drafted. Absolutely a bust. Not only here, but everywhere else he's been. I mean, why is it so hard to criticize Howie Roseman? Why is it? Why is it so hard to criticize a draft pick not working out? Carson Wentz was a bust. Now you're starting to push my buttons. Carson Wentz became a head case. I don't care what he became. He was a bust. Would you go back in time and not draft Wentz if that means taking a big chance not winning the first Super Bowl? That's not what I'm saying, Al. You're misunderstanding this whole thing. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that what they ended up doing did not work out holistically. I'm not saying would I go back and redo it. I'm just saying what was done, and it didn't work. It's okay to admit to that. It's okay to say Carson Wentz was a bust. And anybody out there that's holding on that he wasn't a bust, you got some problems, man, to work out. Carson Wentz was a bust at the number 2 overall pick, just like Jordan Davis is a bust as a first-round draft pick for the Eagles. He was part of the Super Bowl winning team last year. Would you not consider him a bust? I mean, come on, man. It's okay to admit that fraud was wrong. I've criticized Howie for many years. Yeah, but you stopped fighting. You've given up the fight. You sold your soul to the devil, man. With the little trinkets and the shiny objects. Ooh, look at Super Bowl. How are you all forgiven? Just saying, man. Just saying. Dynasty. Are we on our way to a dynasty this year, folks? Are the Philadelphia Eagles on the way to a dynasty? That's what happened this offseason with the gutting of the defense. And then the obvious overcompensation of trying to replenish that defense through the draft, which is, of course, what Howie has done. No offensive skill positions except for one, a quarterback. Are the Eagles, is Howie, I'm not saying is Howie panicking. Is he Is he throwing his lot? Is he throwing his dice against the wall? For a defending Super Bowl champion, is this what needs to be done? We're going to rely on our defense, which was a amazing thing last year, and we're going to try to replenish it through the draft, which ultimately might work. I don't know, but will it work to repeat as Super Bowl champions? Does anybody out there feel comfortable right now if the season were to start tomorrow, now that the draft is over, now that free agency for the most part has ended? If the season started tomorrow, do you feel comfortable or confident that the Eagles are going to go back and defend successfully that Super Bowl championship? And that's a question that we got to start asking ourselves here soon. May 14th, schedule release. That's when it's really going to start being real. Then it's going to die, and then you're going to get it back in late July. But right now, because barring, there's going to be that June 1st cut down. There's going to be some players that don't make it through camp. There's going to be some issues and potentially some injuries around the league. Some players might get traded. Dallas Goedert probably is out of here at some point. Do you feel comfortable and confident that Howie's done the best he could possibly do to ensure or to put the Eagles in a good chance of repeating as Super Bowl champions? There's a lot of unknown on this team right now. Not only is there unknown with these 10 draft picks, which 6 make the team, maybe 7, 8, maybe, on the high end. Not only is there a lot of unknown with these draft picks, there's a bunch of unknown with these depth pieces that he picked up in free agency. And he let known commodities go. So how do you feel out there? And I'm talking to, I'll talk to both. I'm talking to the slobbering homers, and I'm talking to the rational Eagle fans. Do you feel comfortable right now, if the season were to start today, of the Eagles' chances of repeating as Super Bowl champions based on what we have now? And I think it's an interesting question. What is the point, man? Winning a Super Bowl, right? So is that the criteria? Well, you brought it up. Are you talking about what the point is for Carson Wentz? You brought it up. You said that Carson Wentz being a main factor, a contributing factor to them winning that Super Bowl in 17 was, shouldn't make him a bust. And I'm just citing 2 other players that were highly touted, highly picked draft picks from the Eagles that helped win Super Bowl championships, but are considered, I think, Derek Barnett's a bust, and I definitely believe Jordan Davis is a bust. So the realm of possibility that Carson Wentz could be a bust is plausible. And it's something that should be discussed if people care to discuss it. And you shouldn't just gloss over it, that he could be a bust. And Howie mortgaged a lot for that pick. A lot. We didn't have a first-round pick in 2018. I like the Eagles' first-round pick this year. With that being said, let's go. Let's go into the draft, folks. I think it's time. The Eagles, who started the night in the first round, picking number 32, decided to trade up slightly in the end of the first round and went up to 31. I believe that Howie was trying to go up into the 20s at one point. I heard the Chargers' name mentioned as a potential trade partner in that first round. They moved up one position from 32 to 31 with a trade with the Kansas City Chiefs and picked up Jahad Campbell, a 6'3", 225-pound hybrid linebacker / edge rusher from Alabama, who's coming off of shoulder surgery. And I guess his prognosis for the start of the season is sort of up in the air. I don't really know. He's rehabbing from that. I don't know where he stands for the start of this season. Now, position of need. We're going to go off that criteria. It satisfies 2 positions of need. It satisfies linebacker and it satisfies edge rusher. We need both. And we lost some commodities there with the uncertainty of Nakobe Dean and his injuries issues, and then losing Josh Sweat. There was definitely a need for a hybrid player that can play both. Now, I believe what I've heard is that he is going to play or start out mainly as a linebacker, and then maybe they work him into some edge type stuff as the season rolls on. But I do like this pick too. I like this pick from 2 aspects. One, it's from a pro program like the Alabama Crimson Tide, and 2, it addresses 2 critical positions of need for this football team on the defensive side. So, but does Campbell factor into day one type starter? Does Campbell factor into that from the very beginning, dealing with an injury, coming back from an injury? Does that slow his progress into the starting lineup? Does that slow his migration into the Eagles' defensive scheme? That's got. I would imagine it's not going to slow it down that much because they went ahead and they took a first round pick on him. But I'm okay with that position of need, 100%. So that was your first round pick. Now the Eagles in the second round decided to take a player. What was it? It was the safety, right? They took in the second round. Again, they were picking this time on the bottom end of the second round, and that was because of their Super Bowl winning exploits. A 5'11", 186-pound safety from Texas, Andrew Makuba. This might be a little bit of a reach. People are comparing him to CJ, DJ, BJ, KJ, DJ. I don't really see the body type at all, the same type of player. I've watched some film on him. He's a ball hawker. He comes from a pro program. I'll give him that. Little on the short side, 5'11", 186. Is he built good enough to last in the NFL? Again, though, a position of need. I had safety as my second overall pick. I wanted an edge rusher with my first pick, and I wanted a safety with my second pick. I didn't necessarily want this safety, but again, does it factor in? Is he a day one starter? And what does this say about the Eagles? Faith and confidence in the cornerbacks in that room or the DBs in that room. Is he looked at as a replacement to what's his name? The guy that got hurt all the time. I don't remember his name. 29. What the hell is not? What's his name? You know what I'm talking about. Dallas Goedert's roommate. That guy. Jesus Christ, man. Out of sight, out of mind. But is he the replacement for him? But again, position of need. I'm down with that. I'm okay with that position of need. In the third round, the Eagles didn't have a draft pick. They traded out of it. So in the fourth round, they were picking again and selected I think, a really good pick, a defensive tackle by the name of Ty Robinson from Nebraska, 6'5", 288 pounds. Matt Rule apparently gushes about this kid. He was all over social media talking about him. He could potentially be, he's obviously the Milton Williams replacement, and he's athletic, can do those types of things. I like this pick there. That's a really good pick. Again, another position of need, fulfilled. I thought, though, in the third round, and maybe, if they would have stayed pat in that third round, they could have probably gotten him or gotten Scadaboo, and then went for him in the fourth round. I thought you could have killed two birds with one stone there. But, Ty Robinson does fill a position of need for the Eagles, and there was your fourth round pick. So I'm okay with it. So far, so good. I'm okay with, again, the position of need. I'm not loving any of these players. I don't know anything about them. I've never seen them play football. Now, a lot of people are saying in the fifth round, with one of three picks that they had, going after a 5'10", 191-pound cornerback from UCF, Mac McWilliams, this seems to be the first reach of Howie Roseman. Again, what is the 5'10" all about? 191 pounds? Again, an athletic player who ran a 4.41 40-yard dash, which is fast as hell. But can he go up against, is he your slot guy? I mean, that's what Cooper DeJean is. Is he the backup to Adoree Jackson out there on the one side? Is he the eventual partner with Quinyon Mitchell? I don't know. I don't think this guy kind of looks like a Sidney Brown to me or a Ringo. And what does that say about those two individuals' future with the Eagles? I mean, I think this one's a little bit of a reach in the fifth round. That was the first of three different picks that the Eagles had in that round. I honestly thought at some point we got to go for a goddamn offensive player. We got to go for a tight end or a quarterback. I didn't think quarterback, but a tight end, a running back. Then that was Samuel Moden Jr., the linebacker from Michigan or from Georgia, another Georgia Bulldog, 6'2", 224 pounds. Lighter type of linebacker, again, in that hybrid style. I'm not saying he's an edge rusher, but he's quicker. He can cover. He's more used from the pass coverage, kind of like a Zach Bond type of thing going on there. What does this say about Nakobe Dean's future with this team? Is that in question? So another defensive player. Eagles have not taken any offensive players at this time. And then the final pick in that fifth round, where is he? Drew Kendall, the center in Boston College, a backup to the backup. Now, this is a smart pick. It's 6'4", 308 pounds. What was it last year? Was it in the championship game where Jorgens was down and Dickerson got hurt and we were down to like no centers? I kind of like this. This is a good pick, a smart place to take this pick. I wasn't necessarily looking at center, and I know center is a position that's hard to fill through free agency. So this was a good pick for the Eagles. This is a straight depth move. We all know that, but it's a depth move that we needed last year. So I like this. Comes from the ACC. It's a decent conference. Whatever. But there you go. There's the 5th round, and then the Eagles would pick a couple more times in the 6th round. What we got over here? Barbara says Fat Dom spoke to the audience with the president. I'm still trying to understand why it's embarrassing. Fat Dom spoke to an audience. What? He spoke to an audience with the president. I'm still trying to understand why it's embarrassing. Well, huh? I don't understand what you mean. Fat Dom addressed the president. What did he tell him? I don't get what you're saying. Every pick and every signing isn't going to be a home run. It's about mitigating the damages. Huff as an example. Again, Al, you're misunderstanding this whole friggin' rant of mine. All right. I'm not saying that it was a bad draft. I'm not. I'm just saying it was an unknown draft. Every one of these players could be Huff for all we know. And again, that's not outside the realm of possibility. Has Howie ever missed completely on a draft? Yeah, absolutely has. Where every single player was a bust? He has. I'm not saying he's done it this time, but I get what it's about. It's about mitigating the damages. And I'm not bashing these picks. I'm not bashing them because of their positions. But to sit here and crown any of these guys NFL contributors or Super Bowl champions or defensive MVPs, offensive MVPs is ridiculous. We don't know what they're going to be like on the field. As you can hear through the first 5 rounds of this draft, I'm pretty happy with the overall position of needs and the selection of those players within those positions. To say what they're going to be on the field, we don't know that. Nobody knows that. So I am not going to give out a grade because I can't. But I am going to give out a grade to the 2022 draft class. The 2nd round pick can also play cornerback. Yes, he can. A lot of versatility in all of Howie's picks, and I noticed that too. I just Scatterboom. That's an awesome name. I would have gotten that jersey in a heartbeat. Scatterboom. No, he's a really good running back. And if you, I don't know how this happened. Late night, Saturday nights, I don't know, but a lot of hockey in the fall for me, of course, and getting off the ice late. Strange smoky hotel bars in strange cities. I come staggering in at 10:30 at night. Looking for a nice little bracer of the evening, take the edge off. Kind of saunter up to the bar in Boston or in we're at Middletown, New Jersey, or other places that I frequent during the hockey season, and up there on the TV in the Applebee's or in the Outback or in the Texas Roadhouse, wherever I might be, deciding to partake in adult beverages that evening, would be college football. And somehow, some way, it was always Arizona State, and Scatterboom was featured quite heavily in that offense, and of course in the college football playoff, he was huge for the Sun Devils. So I like him, and I've pretty much watched him all year. Again, accidentally, but I've watched him all year, and I would have liked to have seen him here in Philadelphia. The Eagles need a better defense, potentially, Ricky. They do. Fat Dom spoke today at the White House with the president in front of the audience there. I'm not sure why he's involved with anything. Barbara, I would love to know. I would love to know the depth of Fat Dom's relationship. Or what is he, man? What is that guy? Is he the security guy? Is he they mentioned something that he actually checks out the personalities of these prospects. He's part of that process of when they try to find out the character of these players. He's sort of involved in that. What is this guy? Who's crowning anyone? You are, man. Freaking Howie Roseman. He's the defensive player and linebacker. I know why Dom is important. Why is that out? Why is Dom important? All right, so let's get back to the draft. We're into the 6th round now, and we're getting to the end here. So we talked about all 5 rounds. Now in the 6th round, the Eagles got creative with their quarterback, Kyle McCord from Syracuse, ACC conference. Was he a depth piece to push? What's the cat's name? That's the quarterback now. Thompson Robinson, is he the DTR? Are the Eagles going to actually take four or put four quarterbacks on this roster? Probably not. Does Tanner McKee get moved at some point in this offseason? Probably, maybe. Is Kyle McCord ready to step in as the backup? Who knows? Is Kyle McCord ready to supplant Jalen Hurts as the starter? Probably not. Doesn't fit any of the needs or tools that Jalen Hurts brings to this team. Why would you draft a quarterback that does not mirror your starter at all? Why would you draft a quarterback that you'd have, if he would be put into a game, you'd have to change your entire offense around in order to cater to his needs and his skill set? Why don't you go after a Sanders type of quarterback to where you wouldn't have to change the offense around if, say, Jalen Hurts got hurt? I don't understand the pick of Kyle McCord from a offensive structure strategy. I don't. He doesn't fit anything in what the Eagles do offensively with that position. Not a thing. Neither does Tanner McKee. Right? So, I mean, again, what's going on here? And to also lend credence to my theory that the Eagles were definitely in play for Shedeur Sanders and that he would have been a better fit here skill set wise. Now, as I said, though, personality, and boy, man, I really wish he would have been drafted. The circus that this team would have been legendary. And it would have been fun to watch it all implode around everybody. But Kyle McCord is the new fourth string quarterback as listed currently on the depth chart, or third string on the depth chart. Fourth string in my heart, I guess. But Kyle McCord was in the sixth round. Then the Eagles took a offensive tackle out of Michigan named Miles Hinton, 6'7", 233 pounds. Draft project depth guy, Stoutland University, all this nonsense. But you can never have too much depth along that offensive line. I'm okay with these types of picks in this point of the draft. Then another offensive tackle from Texas and Cameron Williams, 6'6", 317 pounds. Good gracious, these people are getting bigger by the second. And then they finish up the draft with Antoine Powell Ryland, a edge rusher from Virginia Tech, a Hokie, 6'3", 258 pounds. Probably a long shot to make this team. And to add on the, 8 or 9 of the UDFAs that the Eagles signed, we can break those down if you like. I'm not going to do it tonight. But there you have it, the Eagle 2025 draft class. And the question now goes back to everybody out there. And this is an honest question. Did the Eagles address everything that needed to be addressed this offseason in this draft? They went heavy on the defense, and the offense that they selected were interior trench kind of guys and a quarterback that does not fit anything that the offense does with the Philadelphia Eagles. Not a thing that the Eagles do offensively does Kyle McCord fit. So overcompensating on the defense because of all the loss from the defense in this past offseason, and with all this turnover from the defense. And I'm not saying these players won't at one point strike gold. And I'm not saying that Keely Ringo and Sidney Brown, well, I am saying that they can't, but who knows? Maybe they step in and they fill the roles left by Darius Slay and by CJ, PJ, KJ, DJ. Maybe they do. But again, is there a lot of uncertainty with a Super Bowl champion, a defending Super Bowl champion, in their quest to become a dynasty? Is there too much uncertainty about this defense? Because the defense was my number one reason why the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Number one. And Saquon being a 1A, 1B type thing. But if that Eagle defense does not play to that level, the Eagles are not winning a Super Bowl. And is there too much turnover on the defensive side of the ball for a defending Super Bowl champion to legitimately go back and repeat? Or is it going to be another one of these types of seasons where it takes them 5 or 6 weeks to round in the form and then we hit our strides sometime in mid-October? I mean, interesting offseason so far for the Eagles. And I'm not prepared to say anyone's a bust or anyone's a hit because I don't know. None of us do. Fat Dom, a cartoon character, I cringe at the sight of him. Yeah, so do I. Fat Dom represents to me the culture problem with the Philadelphia Eagles. When you have there's a culture issue in that locker room, in that clubhouse, and organization. Sirianni's a problem, Dom's a problem, and then Howie Roseman's also a problem. And that's why I'm out on the Eagles, because of the culture that they bring. And I don't know how things got to the way they did. Remember Howie said we're a quarterback factory, and that's why I thought Sanders was coming, man. I really did. Eagles had the last pick in every round in a very bad draft. I didn't expect much. Yeah, and that's what happens when you're a Super Bowl champion, Barbara. You don't have the pick of the litter in draft classes to begin with, or in rounds to begin with. And then this was a very underwhelming draft class to begin as well. So let's now talk Howie Roseman overall, right? So 10 players selected in this year's draft. All of them are question marks. Every single last one of them could either be a bust or a hit. Last season, even with the emergence of Quinyon, Cooper DeJean, and then really that's the only two, maybe Jalen Hunt, you toss him in there as well. I still have question marks for every player from the 2024 draft because, again, we need to see this over a sustained period of time. Same thing with 2023, with the exception of two players. I've already assigned a hit to Jalen Carter and Moro Ojomo. I think those are hits. But everybody else in that draft class to me is a question mark. So it brings me to the 2022 draft class, which I think we can honestly sit here and say we can assign, or we can rule them, we can grade them. You can grade the 2022 draft class because it's been 3 years. And now we kind of have an idea what these players are as professionals. Can't do it holistically with the 2023 group or the 24 group or the 25 group. You can't do it yet because there's not enough tape on them. But in 2022, we drafted Jordan Davis in the first round with the 13th overall pick. Eagles have, was it 2 days now? 3 days to decide whether or not they're going to pick up his fifth-year option. So what does that tell you? Well, what does that tell you about Jordan Davis? Jordan Davis is a bust. For where they selected him in that draft, he's been a bust. Cam Jurgens was selected in the second round at 51st overall, a home run hit. Maybe even he might project out to be a better center than Kelsey was. In the third round at the 83rd pick, it was Nakobe Dean. I got him as a question mark, and it's hard for me to sit here, and it was hard for me to keep him as a question mark because, listen, when the guy's on the field, he's a hit. But he spends way too much time off of the field. And I know injuries are part of what a player are, and injury history and tendency to get hurt is part of what a player is. But his performance on the field, to me, has been so good that I am prepared to keep him as a question mark through this season. But I will grade him by the end of this season because that's enough. That's enough. He gets a freebie for one more year, and then I'm going to assign him a grade. But right now, he's still a question mark for me. Then you got in the sixth round, you got Kyron Johnson, the linebacker from Kansas. He was a bust completely. Never made it out of the first season with the team. And then Grant Calcaterra, the tight end from Nebraska, in the seventh round, also in the sixth round, 198th overall from SMU. And he's a hit right now. He's a hit because we need him to be. And he's been okay when called upon as a sixth round draft pick. So there's my 2022 draft class grades. And next year, we'll talk about the 2023 draft class and so on and so forth. But I can't tell you right now that I'm in love with the 2025 draft class because we don't know what they're going to be. I agree with the positions taken with the exception of running back. There was never a running back addressed. Now, as how he goes as a drafting person overall, a lot of questions about where do I consider or what do we consider how he drafts? Right? What did Howie join the organization sometime in 2012-ish, around that area? I think it's foolish to say that Howie had any kind of Howie did not have full control of the drafts until the 2016 season, right? Until the year that he came back out of the closet, wherever he was. It sound right, but you know what I mean. From 2016 to 2025, I will give Howie complete autonomy over all those drafts. Anything prior to 2016, I'm not buying that he was the overall authority on the drafts. I'm just not buying that. So in the purpose of this exercise, the Howie draft years are 2016 to 2025. And in those years, it's 10 drafts. 5 out of the 10 first-round draft picks are still with the team. Pretty impressive numbers, man. I'm going to give him that. It's 5 out of 10 first-round picks are still here. 76 players were taken in those 10 drafts. Overall, picks still on the team to include this year's class. 46 players are still on the team. That's about 60% of his draft classes are still on the Eagles. Now, that number is going to drop when some of these players don't make the team. But right now, 60%, almost 61% actually. Out of those 76 players, 33 of them have been graded out by me as being busts. That's 43.4% of Howie Roseman's draft picks have not worked out. 43.4. 19 of them have been graded out as hits. 25% of his drafted draft classes have been considered hits. And 24 of them are still sort of question marks. We still don't have a full verdict on them. 31.5% of his draft classes are still sort of hanging in the balance. Now, these numbers will never really kind of balance out until Howie gets fired and he stops drafting players. Every year it's going to fluctuate up and down between the question marks and the amount of players, because we're always going to be 3 years behind on his draft classes. But so far, that's what I'm looking at as Howie Roseman as a drafting guru. Right now, 19 players out of his 76 that he's drafted can be graded and said right now are hits. 19 out of 76, 25%. I don't think that's too impressive, actually. So there you go. That was a lot of talking about the Eagles draft. Yes. Ricky Deal says we need to have an Eagles meeting on live. What the hell? What? Matty Hallmark is doing an Eagles movie, and I'm not joking. What is it about, Barbara? Is it about me and Howie's love story? Is it about how Howie and me found each other? Is that what it's about? That'd be an awesome story. Cam Jordan, yeah, of course he was. I mentioned he was a hit. Kelsey was replaced easily on this team, won a Super Bowl the year after he retired. Maybe he was actually overrated. Nah, listen, I got to give Kelsey credit for what he was. He sort of revolutionized the position. He was a athletic center that could get out into space and provide a lot of downfield blocking. He laid down a blueprint for the centers of the future. You got to give him that. Listen, Barbara, I'm with you about what has occurred since then. He's become a caricature of himself. And I know even the biggest homer, Al, you still out there somewhere? I know even Al's probably a little sick of him, but you can't take away what he did, in my opinion, as a player. He revolutionized the position of center. A smaller, more athletic, able to get out in the space and provide more complex, dynamic blocking. You can't take that away from him. Can we say that 2024 is not a bust early, since many of those defensive players contributed to the win? No, we cannot, because 2024 is only one season removed from their draft class. We have to wait to see how these players grade out. In Matty B's world, it's a 3-year window that I wait before I give out grades. 2024 will grade them in 2026, right? I mean, that's just the way. I mean, you're going to tell me that, okay, let's look at 2024. 2024, this is the Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean draft, right? Alex Hunt, Will Shipley, Aniyah Smith, Jeremiah Trotter, Trevor Keegan, Johnny Wilson, and Dylan McMahon. Well, Dylan McMahon's already a bust because he never made it out of camp. And then Johnny Wilson's trending to be a bust. Trevor Keegan is trending to be a bust. Jeremiah Trotter, verdict's still out. Aniyah Smith is trending to be a bust. Will Shipley's a bust, if you ask me. That leaves Alex Cooper and Quinyon as potential hits. I got to see it over a period of more than just one season. I'm not saying that they won't grade out, but right now I'm not going to jump after 1 year, because I would have done that after Carson Wentz's second year, and look where you were. Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not going to do that. Not going to do it. So 2024 is still a question mark, with the exception of Dylan McMahon, the 6th round pick out of NC State, the offensive guard that never played a down for the Eagles because he never made it really onto the team. So, no, I don't agree with that. Eagles coach needs to get fired. I agree, Ricky Deal. Nick Sirianni's a fraud, too. Hey, did the Chiefs movie, so it will be like that, probably lighthearted stuff, typical. I didn't see the Chiefs movie. Man, I'm missing out on a lot of good things. Somebody told me there's a Netflix documentary right now about the Boston Red Sox from last season. I'm missing that, too. Not that I care about what happened with the Boston Red Sox. But apparently it was tied into something that was set onto the field about a player, Jerron, about he's having some mental health issues, and some fan yelled out something about suicide. I didn't know this was tied into some sort of Netflix series that was airing currently about the Boston Red Sox that was filmed last year, or that followed them throughout the course of last season. So I'm way behind the power curve on this stuff, man. Cooper DeJean has already done more than Wentz. Yeah, I mean, he won a Super Bowl. and he was a contributing factor to that Super Bowl win, that actual win. But anyway, there you go. There's my Eagles take. I don't know if it was the take you guys were looking for. I don't know if you wanted me to sit here and the bash Howie Roseman. I can't bash him for this draft class because the verdict is still out. And I can't sit here and tell you about any of these players are going to be superstars because the verdict is still out. I can't tell you that they're all going to be duds because the verdict is still out. I am here to tell you that I think positions of need were addressed, but it was a little bit showing to me or telling to me that it was so defensive heavy. Is there that much lack of confidence in our defensive current unit that we went so heavy with defensive players? Did Howie tip his hand to us and the rest of the NFL by saying, I have some issues on the defensive side of the ball that I overcompensated with a lot of draft picks? I don't know. And then the last thing I do want to discuss about the draft is the tight end. I don't think Dallas Goedert will be part of the team when the season begins. I think he will be moved at some point, but who he's going to get moved for, I don't know. Currently, the tight end room is Dallas Goedert, Grant Calcaterra, Kyle Granson, and Harrison Bryant, the 2 free agent pickups this offseason. Again, they're not carrying 4 tight ends on their roster. Somebody's not going to be here, and I don't think Dallas Goedert is going to be here. He's going to try to save some room, through the cap and all that. But a lot of people are up in arms with the fact that the Eagles did not draft a tight end, and I simply say to that, why? A tight end is more confusion to Jalen Hurts in this offense. It's too complex for Jalen Hurts to understand how to run an offense with a tight end. I'm telling you, it's that, and it's also, and where's my favorite stat from last year? I bring this out all the time when I talk about the fraud of Jalen Hurts. The average quarterback play of Jalen Hurts attempted 361 passes in 2024, and only 48 of them were to the middle of the field. Why? I'll simply put, because they don't trust him to throw the ball to the middle of the field. And who hangs out typically in the middle of the field? Tight ends, right? They don't trust Jalen Hurts to throw that ball into that window of the middle of the field. So to be honest with you, the loss of Dallas Goedert and the addition of 2 free agent kind of fringers for the Eagles and the potential elevation of Grant Calcaterra as a starting tight end, even though he's got suspect blocking ability. As far as a pass catcher, it's just not used in this offense because they don't have trust and confidence in their quarterback to deliver the ball to the middle of the field. And again, you can get on me on that all you want, but those are the numbers from what last season. I have never seen a quarterback throw less than 50 times to the middle of the field through a regular season ever in my life. It's an incredible stat. And it's a glaring stat. It's a showing stat. It's a telling stat. So for those of you getting upset about the Eagles not drafting a tight end, I need you to look deeper into that. Why would they draft a tight end? They don't trust their quarterback to throw the ball to the middle of the field. So, maybe that makes you feel better. I don't know. Made me feel better when I thought about it. Okay, I'm on Facebook too. Just watched the Jimmy Fallon, Drew Barrymore movie about the Red Sox. It's cute. Oh, was it Spring Fling or something like that? Yeah, it is a pretty funny movie. The defense needed help. They lost a ton. Was it 7 players off the defense? 6 of them were heavy contributors to that Super Bowl championship. That's a lot, man. And I know the homers want you to think that everything's okay because we went out and signed a bunch of retread free agents and a bunch of cast-offs, and now we're going heavy in the draft with defensive help. They want you to say everything's okay because we signed Zach Bond long-term. They want you to think everything's okay. Joe, that's going to be a problem this season. And if the defense cannot replicate what they did in 2024, they're not winning a Super Bowl this year. They're just not going to. Yes, after the show, Ricky, good God. I think Dallas Goedert gets traded near the trade deadline. I agree. I think he does too. I think it happens before the start of the season. The quarterback of Notre Dame threw for more yards, touchdown, rushing yards, and rushing touchdowns than Hurts, and he strives to be a doctor, not a football player later in life. Wow. Is that Ryan Leonard? Yeah, that guy. All right, folks. Man, we're over an hour, and I have not even pivoted off the Eagles yet, and we haven't even talked Phillies, who are now 15-13. Real quick, we'll talk about the Phillies because we want to get on to some hockey. 15-13 right now are the Phillies to start, or at this point of the season. Big time series win over the Cubs over the weekend. I think it really went a long way for me to, kind of calm down a little bit on where the Phillies are at this point in the season. It is still April and now, but they needed to show me something. I needed something from them in Chicago. I needed a sweep or a 2 out of 3. And I'm glad they gave me that, because it gets you a little bit off the ledge with the Phillies. There's still some issues. There's still a lot of issues with the team. They're not a World Series winning team right now, but at least they showed a pulse. And the way they won those last 2 games, 1 home run, and they scored, 14 runs. So they scored runs with small ball. They scored runs with moving bases, moving runners around. They scored runs with not hitting home runs. And as I said on the final last night, that's what World Series champions do. They don't rely on home runs. They rely on playing baseball. And last night, the Phillies, and on Saturday, the Phillies played baseball. And they've proven to everybody out there that they know how to do it. Now it's a matter of sustaining it and keeping it going into this week against the Nationals and beyond the rest of the season. So good for the Phillies. I'm happy that they won, and I think it's hopefully the signs of good things to come. Yeah, is it Riley? What did I say his name was? Yeah, Riley Cooper. No, not Riley Cooper. Riley Leonard. Or Riley Cooper. So that's all my Phillies talk. Let's now move on what Joe Hale wants to talk about. And I like the fact that Joe Hale's bringing up some AHL hockey. The Phantoms are moving on into the second round of the Calder Cup Finals, or Calder Cup playoffs. They'll face the Hershey Bears, the defending Calder Cup champions. I believe the series starts tomorrow or next day, sometime in April, end of April there. And I honestly believe the Phantoms have a shot here. And not because they're so well put together and, but because of the reinforcements that have arrived late in the season. Alex Chernak, Jet Lachenko, Ty Murchison. Now you're going to put me on the spot, remember all their names. Devin Kaplan. Oh, come on, you guys are killing me. Well, you know what I'm getting at here. And that's why I'm enjoying this run of the AHL playoffs right now, is because you're looking at hopefully a future glimpse of what is going to happen a little bit south of Allentown in the next year or two. There's some heavy hitters on this Phantoms team right now that are brought here specifically to get some playoff experience before they move on to the Flyers. Jet Lachenko being one of them, Alex Chernak being another one of them, Kaplan being another one of them. There's some players here that are kind of ushering the new era, or the new next generation, so to speak, of prospects finally starting to arrive. We've been on the Flyers for 3 seasons now about, again, same thing we talk about the Phillies. When are some of these prospects going to be ready? Well, now you're starting to see it from the Flyers. In this level of hockey, that we're starting to bring some players along into the system. And if anything, and again, not proven at the NHL level, we don't know how any of these kids are going to translate over, but it's definitely showing a shot in the arm down there at the AHL. And it reminds me of the year that Barber took the Phantoms with Richards and the other guy. Man, I can't think of anybody's name. Dude, he just retired from the Carter. Good God, Jeff Richards and Carter. Richards and Carter. That year that he took them to the AHL and to the Calder Cup championship. It kind of reminds me of the makeup of that team, that you have a bunch of players that are about to break into the NHL, not nesting in the AHL. They're just hanging out there for a while, but they're showing their ability. They're flipping over the ice. They skated right on past the Wilkes-Barre Penguins, and they're going to face a steep challenge with the Bears, who again are the defending champs. But it's really good to see it. It's good to see that there's somewhere through the smoke in the horizon, there's help potentially on the way, and that help could be here next year. So if you're interested in watching a potential championship run, right? And I think it's legit. Now, the only thing holding them back is friggin' Cal Peterson in net. But if you're looking to watch a championship run, playoff hockey, and a glimpse at the very near Flyer future, Get up to Allentown. I believe the series begins either tomorrow or the next day against the Bears, and check out some Calder Cup hockey, man, because it's really, really starting to, again, it makes me feel good because of what it means for the Flyers in the future. I could really care less if the Phantoms won the Calder Cup, but it makes me feel excited for what's happening, what could potentially happen with the Flyers next year, as early as training camp, and the battles that might be won or fought up there with the Flyers. So check it out, man. It should be fun. Phillies beat the Marlins, Nationals, Pirates, etc. Yeah. Barbara giving out a little bit of the schedule. Usually watch a lot of NHL playoffs, even if the Flyers not involved, but not much. I have not watched 1 second of the NHL playoffs. Not 1 second of it. Phantoms versus Hershey Bears starts Wednesday. There you go. Joe Howe giving us an update on that. I don't know, Joe, did that satisfy your AHL fix? I tried to kind of work it into the conversation, but it excites me because of what it means for the Flyers. And it excites me to see Jet Lachenko play the way he is. Alice Chernick, another really good. Devin Kaplan. I know I'm forgetting a few names, man. There's like 8 of them that came down from other programs and joined the Phantoms at the end of the year. I mean, it's an amazing amount of them. But yeah, go ahead and check them out because it's a glimpse at the future, and it's also perhaps a swan song to say goodbye. Or yeah, Gurboinkin, the kid that Flyers brought over in the Scott Lawton trade. He's another prospect now that's playing well, helping them win. So it's just fun to watch. Yeah, that's the only thing that's holding me back on crowning them the AHL champions. Thank you, Barbara. Please do. So go ahead and check out the AHL. It's fun, and you will not be disappointed. So there you go. There's the AHL talk. All right, let's go now to our of the night segment. Again, we're running late tonight, but that's okay. We've been off the air for a while, and we got to get caught up. So let's do the of the night segment. All right, so we're going to get back into the other night segment with the MLB draft. That's coming up. That's the next one that's on the horizon. Well, actually, I guess the next one on the horizon would be the NHL draft, which we will cover in some. And by the way, shout out to Al, Mike Laro. We didn't do coverage of the NFL draft. Like, we didn't do a static show, but we did, those guys were feeding the Twitter stuff all night long while I was vacationing. So, shout out to them. Thank you very much, guys, for that great work, keeping everybody on top of what was happening on draft night. So on the first round. So a big thank you to Al for that. But we're going to focus now on the MLB draft, which is not the next draft. It'll be the NHL draft. As far as what we're going to do about the NHL and MLB draft here on the network, I'm still sort of kicking that around and I haven't made my decision up yet, but we'll do something. But let's get into the MLB draft tonight with a prospect player who kind of projects out down there at the bottom of the first round, maybe second round, top of the second round. Slater DeBron, he's an outfielder from Summit, Oregon. He's a high schooler. He plays center field. Again, we talked about a player the other night that had a lot of comp to Lenny Dykstra. He has a lot of comp to Lenny Dykstra as well. Slater, again, he projects out to the bottom end of the first round, potentially second round. He's a left-handed pitcher as well, so I don't think he's going to be a left-handed pitcher at the MLB level. Be probably an outfielder, but he's got a compact, athletic build with a good present strength. He's a 6.39 runner in the 60, primarily outfielder on defense. Quick and lift on his feet to the ball with athletic actions. Has a nice carry on his throws when on top of the ball. Tends to rush his throws at times. Left-handed hitter, has a tight turn from medium base, quick bat, and a loud impact. Pull to midfield contact, leaves the barrel, multiple game about over 100 mile an hour, exit velo, consistency stands out with the bat, plays with full energy. So if you're trying to imagine what Slater DeBron might look like as an MLBer, think Lenny Dykstra. And that would probably be the easiest thing I can say about this kid. Bottom of the first round, top of the second round, should maybe be there when the Phillies pick at 26. Something the Phillies might want to look at. Again, the center field thing is gone to epic issues right now with this team. He could be center field prospect of the very, very far future. But if he's there when the Phillies pick at 26, I'd be intrigued about taking him. So Slater DeBron, your spotlight or your of the night segment player here on the show. So can I bring up the Flyers? Of course you can. Can I bring up the MLB Drift? Of course you can. But there you go. That was your other night segment, brought to you by some of the more fine program we have here on the network, like this program, The Final Word with MattyB, every Sunday and through Thursday at 10 p.m. Right now, it looks like we'll finish out our broadcast week regularly scheduled as possible tomorrow, Wednesday, and not Thursday, actually, because I will be on the post games on Thursday. So tomorrow and Wednesday, we'll have the final word this week. So make sure you're checking that out. And then, of course, one of our very real excited about this, the PNM and the AM program will be returning to the air on Sunday at 9, May 4th. Pat Bernard, Mike Lauro, and Big Al producing. Make sure you're here. If you have never seen PNM and the AM, well, I got a treat for you. Your Sunday mornings will never be the same. And for those of you that have seen it before, you know what I'm talking about. So make sure you're here for the PNM and the AM. Let's wrap this bad boy up with my favorite segment. All right, that's right. MattyB's card review is back. And, we've definitely reached the, I definitely feel like I'm back now that we're doing the card review. I don't even remember the last card we touched. I think it was a baseball card, but we're going to start this thing back off with baseball. And we're going to start off with a player who, back in my, when I was in my 20s, I really thought this guy was on his way to a Hall of Fame career. I absolutely thought he was on his way to a Hall of Fame career. Was a complete impact player for the teams he played for, but his career kind of fizzled out there at the end. But during one period of the mid-90s, man, he was the man. And I'm speaking of Dante Bichette. And this is his 1995 Dunross card. This was one of the years that Dunross actually got baseball cards right. They don't do baseball cards anymore, but this is one of the years that they actually got it right. Really cool design with these cards. The dual pitcher on the front with a third pitcher on the back of the card with the silver graphic and everything. They really stepped up their game. Dunross did in 95 with this card. Now, the player, Bichette, throughout his career, played for California, Milwaukee, Colorado, Cincinnati, and Boston. Was a full four-time All-Star, a Silver Slugger Award winner, NL home run leader, and an NL RBI leader. And this was all done throughout the 94 through 96, period of time. He broke into the majors in 88, but he really hit his stride in the mid-90s as a player, and it was on his way, man. But then he fell off again, and it was never heard from him. A career batting average of 299, so almost a 300 hitter throughout his career, 274 career home runs, and 1,141 RBIs. And, of course, his son, Bo, plays in the MLB right now. But Dante Bichette, a player that I remember from my youth, and just really surprised that he fell off. But as far as this card goes, a really nice card. Dunross got it right in 95. This card itself, about $4 or $5 on a database. You can probably get $5 for this card. This was during the 95 season, or it would have been the 94 stats in the 95 season. This was one of his more productive years as a major league player. But there you have it, Dante Bichette, your card of the night. And here is the card in its physical form. I got a very clean version of this card. Sharp corners, good centering, and a good picture here. So about a $5 card on most databases. So there you go. Dante Bichette is our player, our card, not player, but our card of the night here on the program. Joe says, I thought Bichette was a good hitter. Yeah, he was a really good hitter, but he didn't have lasting power, Joe. It just faded away, man. But in the mid-90s, man, he was the man. All right, guys, that's it. Wow. First show back. Glad to be back. We will keep it rolling tomorrow. And then, as I said, Wednesday, but I will not be back Thursday because I have the post-game. And speaking of post-game, Phillies are off tonight, but they'll be back at it tomorrow. And here is your Fighting's final lineup for the week. Steve, Mike, and me will take you to the Nationals. Phillies return home. Hopefully, we'll build upon that success in Chicago, wrap up the month of April positively, and start building on some of that for May, because we're through the first month of the season. Now training wheels are off. Now it's about momentum. It's about winning, and it's about building some confidence. And hopefully the Cubs series, maybe we can talk about the Cubs series like we talk about the London series last year. But the Cubs series would be the positive way, how the season might have turned. I don't know. Maybe we do. But tomorrow we'll be back with the Titans final after the Phillies game. And then all the great programming that we talked about tonight on this program or on this network is here for you. Please make sure you're tuned in and checking things out. And we will talk again tomorrow. Until then, you guys have a great rest of your night and even better tomorrow.